Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, we are back, and she's just an amazing life coach. Like, I can't wait to even have her on, of the energy that comes off of this woman right here. Genevieve Wisdom is with us, and it's Wisdom Life Coaching. Lots to talk about today. How you can change your life, improve your life, move your life forward. How you doing today, Genevieve?
I am doing fantastic, Steve. Thank you for the great intro. And I'm so glad you feel my energy, vibe, aliveness, all of that.
Oh, it's like bam. It's like just it emanates, it pops out. It's huge. And I have to believe that that is so impactful too when you work with people, in a life coaching capacity, right?
100%. Steve, um, life coaching, we touched on this a little bit last time about the difference between life coaching and counseling.
Yep.
And I was going to do the long, arduous job of getting my PhD and becoming a doctor in psychology, and I could have done it. And I just found when I coached instead of counseled and go deeper, even the most deep and painful aspect that people would come to me with, I had this joy that I was able to delineate to them through the talking about it coaching period. And I thought, you know what? I kind of love it here. I want to just sit here and I'm not under certain umbrellas, because there's certain umbrellas and norms of behaviors that you have to do as you go deeper. And life coaching is just it for me. It's, we have a conversation, we help one another, we have fun, and there are no shackles. And that's why I love life coaching, and pass that on.
I could see that when I think, and there's lots of great therapists out there, and there's a place for that without a doubt. When I think of a life coach, it's almost as if you're that person's friend. You're helping them along, whereby nothing wrong with a therapist, but it's more of like a clinical type situation where this is, I don't want to say it's lighter, but it seems potentially more positive and more fast forward. You're always moving forward.
Excellent. Steve, that's an excellent way of putting it. And that's exactly my sentiments. And you're 100% right. I want to go back and, let you and everyone know that I'm a very blessed girl, in the sense that I have a plethora of learned minds around me. I don't know how I got that lucky, blessed, call it what you will, but I do. And a lot of my network and people that I know are in different designations, such as psychology, counseling, etc. And sometimes what a life coach does, at least in my practice, what I do is I say I'm like the GP of life. So you come to me. I do have certain niches, but often you come to me in one niche. Next thing you know, we're over here. And if you do need to go deeper in a certain area, I have someone I can either recommend that I know personally, or give you the tools to suss out the right type of a clinician, if you will, that needs to go deeper on certain issues, because no doubt there is a place for that in life.
I know the answer, and the reason you have that circle around you is it's your energy and you attract it. There's no doubt in my mind that's why that's around you. You say your coaching is youthful aging. How do you explain it?
Yes. Sorry, Steve. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I got excited about the youthful part and the aging part. Right, Steve? We have to get excited.
Do I have the right youthful aging? Right?
Yes, yes, yes. And, you know, so all of us, if we have a gift of getting older, life changes. Things look different on the outside and they feel different on the inside. And so getting a little long in the tooth, shall we say, and I love it. My culture, and I spent some time in Europe, different cultures have different ways of thinking about aging and thinking about us, the different men and women as we age. There are many differences. And so I like to say that, I'm like fine wine, but I haven't had wine in a long time. I gave that up about 15 years ago. So I like to say I'm like miso. I get better with age, I'm nice and fermented. And so people say, how come you're how old? Your skin looks amazing, and you're how old? But you seem so young. You're like in your 20s. And I'm going, oh, well, maybe not really. And
It
so
maybe 30s, maybe 30s.
maybe 30s. And so what, Steve, wait, there's a challenge coming. And when I'm finished the challenge, you might take that back. That's all I'm going to say
Mm.
about, going back to, just being the best you can as you age. And so because I've done several different modalities, I started out in beauty as a fashion model. Then I went into nutraceuticals, which is my foundational um, job, career, studies more recently. I put the two together and everything in between because I have education in both as well as life experience in both. So, useful aging, what I've found is no matter who I met, where I've been to 42 countries, people ask, Genevieve, how do you look good and feel amazing as you age? And I have the answer, at least some of it.
You've tapped something, and I don't know if it's the products that you use or just your mindset. Tell me about your past. And we did talk about you have a health background, you have a beauty background. Give us a little more insight on that.
100%. So let me start with the beauty because um, I started out my career path, shall we say, as a fashion model. And, with all due respect to fashion models everywhere, I wasn't a supermodel, and the majority of us are not supermodels. It's just life. It's like getting to the pinnacle. In many areas, we are just necessarily ordinary. And that's another part of my coaching. Be extraordinary in your ordinary. So I was a fashion model, but I was an extraordinary, ordinary fashion model, meaning I didn't make it big on the big stages. I didn't have those names and accolades, but I certainly was in that modeling circus. I was walking and circus, I say that for a reason. It's true because it's like, you're doing many different things. I was walking down the street, 13 years old, 5'8", this gorgeous blonde. I was in Vancouver, Canada, specifically North Vancouver, Canada. This gorgeous blonde came bounding out of her high-end clothing store and said, "You're so beautiful, you should model." I said, "Okay." Had no idea what that was. I was fresh off the plane. Get it? Fresh off the plane from Jamaica. Steve,
Mhm.
I think I'm funny. It's okay.
I was just fixating on your Jamaican accent that came out for a split second.
For a second, I sprinkle it in. So I said, okay. And I started modeling at 13. And I'm telling you, Steve, everything good and almost everything bad that can happen in modeling happened to me. And it's shocking. I traversed it and I am where I am today. So, and so because I have that look, beauty is we have all the adages. I love adages in the eye of the beholder. Beauty, the experience of beauty has really changed over the decades that I've traversed modeling, of course. And to me, that's a hoorah, right? But I coach in that because a lot of people ask me, they know about my background, they take a look at me, they go, "Looks like you've walked somewhere." And I go, "Yeah, I've walked a few stages." And so that's what I talk about. And I have fabulous skin. In modeling, skin is important. I do use certain things that I put on my skin. When I found out your skin, your largest organ, eats, and I started to look at the products that I was putting on my skin in the modeling aspect in skincare and makeup, I was aghast. And whenever I find something out, I have this tenacity to help others. I'm a giver. I remember I mentioned that. So I started to do research and started using certain skincare products. And that's really my secret weapon as to looking this fantastic at this age. I have no makeup on now, Steve. It's just, skincare. Hopefully, I look as good as I think I look.
You do, trust me, you do.
So that's the beauty part. But let's face it, aging happens. We're not stagnant. And if we get older, we have that blessing. Different things happen to the body. And so I went back to school, Okay, I'm going to drop a little bit of a nugget of age. In my mid to late 30s, I went back and finished my undergrad. It was almost a triple major. And I received an applied science degree and a nutrition degree, put it together and made businesses in what's called integrative health, which means you don't throw anything out. You're not too far on one side or the other. If you need drugs and surgery, please do it. But on the other end, if there are things that we can do before needing that, do that first. And so I focused on the nutraceutical aspect, which is the do that first aspect if we can. And shockingly, Steve, what you take on the inside in the form of a nutraceutical helps you age usefully. And remember to go back to your question, why youthful aging? The questions I've had asked the most in my different careers, in my travels, is Genevieve, how do we look good and feel amazing while we age? And I've put it together for you with what you put on the outside and what you put in on the inside.
You know, you said before your skin is the largest organ in your body. So many people forget that and just think, oh, it's a covering. It's a covering for the rest of your body. They forget that it's an organ and that it's even cleansing your body. You don't even know it's doing it, but it's emitting things, and what you put on it goes right into your system. And so many people don't realize that because again, they just think, yeah, it's part of my body, it's the covering, but no, it's an organ. it's doing,
It's an organ.
it's doing things.
Of course, Steve. And Steve, you're very brilliant. Has anyone ever told you that? You are very brilliant. And here's why. And you'll get to know me more, but I'm not placating you. And people, I have a gift. We have many gifts, natural gifts, different types of gifts, and I'm an encourager. And you really are a very brilliant man because I can tell that you're perceptive. And one thing that you said, why I wanted to let you know that at this point is the skin does things we sweat, etc. The skin is imperative in youthful aging. And you kind of opened the door to one of my secret weapons, which is an infrared sauna. I have an infrared sauna at home. I hop into this infrared sauna and I sweat out the impurities. And that helps us stave off fine lines, wrinkles, middle age acne. Yes, it's a thing. When I found out it's a thing, I went, what?
I got a thing in my face right here, and this is my skin cancer that's being treated.
I can help you with that thing, Steve. I'll tell you where to get an infrared sauna.
You know what? Red light therapy has been on my radar, and I don't know if that's similar to it, but
yes. Yes, yes, yes. You know what? That's incredible as well. The reason why I like a sauna is it mimics the good rays of the sun, and it actually, saunas are so great because you're sweating from every pore in your body. And we don't have time, Steve. We live in a world where, and especially when we get older, we have kids, we have a career, and then we have our parents. There's so many things going on in the sandwich generation. We could go on. We don't have time. So I look for things that are simple yet effective to help us age youthfully. Infrared sauna helps with pain and inflammation, helps with body fat loss, detoxifies, and it gets rid of those wrinkles. Hello, sign me up.
Wow. We should do a podcast in your sauna.
I can tell you where. But it's imperative as well, because imagine sitting in a box and then you're sweating in toxic glues, or the wood was sprayed with things we don't want, which is why I talk about organic versus non-organic. A lot of people I know think that's a myth, but when it comes to skincare, it's not. When it comes to your food, it's not. When it comes to your nutraceuticals, it's not. And your sauna, it's not. If you're in this hot box and now you've heated up a toxic glue, pesticide wood, not good. So there's more we can talk about on those later.
Genevieve, I've never thought about that. And I go into the sauna at the gym, just the end of a workout, because I don't know, it just feels good. And especially the weather's getting colder here in the Northeast. So it's like, warm up, go outside. It's got kind of like a rush. But I never thought about the toxins that could be contained in the sauna. Wow.
Yes, exactly. Now, the good news before everybody floods us and say, oh my goodness, what am I breathing? The good news is that we're here where we live. We're very blessed to be here in North America. So in general, we have norms to protect us in ways that we didn't even know we needed protection. So there's certain things that, when you buy a sauna, even if they're imported, there's certain things that they must match when it comes to health, etc. So don't panic, everybody. I'm not saying that, but that's just a little thing that when I did it on the level that I did it,
Mm.
you know, that I do integrative health, you have to look at everything from the big thing to the little thing. And the glue and the wood is a little thing, but a big thing.
Oh,
So,
100%. Same thing with, and I'm looking at raspberries right over here, and they're not organic, and it's almost bothering me because when I bought them, they didn't have organic, and I'm like, well, even though you pay more, when you hear more and more about pesticides that are going into things and how governments allow it in the Northeast, it's kind of scary. I'd rather pay an extra buck to not have to worry about that.
100%, Steve, and 100%. And again, to lend to your brilliance, how you lead me into ways in which I life coach, is I am surrounded by very wise people there, and I always tease them and say, "Your last name should be Wisdom." But one of my very wise people mentioned they do the research, you look at it, and if it makes sense, it makes sense to you. If not, throw it out. So this makes sense to me. In North America, or livers, we are filtering about 2.2 kilos, which is 5 pounds of pesticides a year. That's a lot of stress on the liver, which again lends to youthful aging. The skin, an incredible organ to, have all the toxins and waste go out, but it also eats. The liver does over 500 jobs. It breaks down your food on one end and it breaks down your hormones on the other end. And as we get older, that's probably something we can talk about later about hormones or endocrine system. The liver is under attack from the foods we eat and this and that, and then it shows up on your skin. So often when I look at someone, if they have dehydrated skin, I try and figure out what is it that they're eating, what's going on with their liver. If you have fine lines, your liver is stressed. If you have skin issues, even kids, eczema, um, all those different skin eruptions, it's your liver. So you were thinking the right thing, Steve. If we can decrease the load, so we don't worry, we don't fret, we don't go live under a rock. It's great being where we are, but we do the best we can. And that's why I bring wisdom to certain little things that we may not have thought about. And if we change one little thing in this area, it lends to youthful aging.
Hmm. You go very deep and detailed, and I think that, not I think, I know that's what makes you a great coach. You don't miss anything. This is when's your birthday? I gotta ask. Something's telling me I need to ask. When's your birthday?
January 21st.
So that would make you a Aquarius or no? No, you're past.
I'm on the cusp.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those who talk about those things, there are many different ones of us. So yeah, I'm on the cusp of Aquarius and Capricorn.
Yeah.
And cusp people are apparently quite, complicated. Or like the French say, I'm très compliqué. It's a good thing to be complicated because I go deep. I go very deep. To have a complicated life coach means I take the complicated out of life and make it simple for you.
Yeah. And I just not to digress, but I had to ask that because I sensed it, and I worked with a girl as a co-host in radio for about 10 years. Really good friend of mine, and she's an Aquarius, and she's close to the cusp. And you remind me of her. I'm not even kidding. Her name is Leanna, and she's the exact way. And I think she has aspirations to be a life coach, but just hasn't moved forward toward that. But back to you, though. Back to you. When you
Yes, absolutely. There's room for all of us.
oh my gosh, if you can't even find a therapist, counselor, psychiatrist here in the States, it is very challenging right now. They're like taking on so many cases. So pivot over to a life coach right over here. That
Exactly.
that said, when you work with somebody, where do you start? Like, what's your starting point? You meet somebody, you have a conversation, you learn what their goals are. How do you set up a program? How do you tailor a program specifically for them?
Well, with the time that we're living in, things changed. So now I usually meet someone through my website, the initial point, and people are looking at their lives. We talked about that last week. I think we had a caller who wanted to live his passion. And so people are just thinking, I have a lot. Life is great right now. I need help organizing it. I need a life coach. Or someone is going, I'm at a crossroads where I'm not living my passion. I could be. I'm not sure if I should. What do I do? I need a life coach. So it actually starts with you. It starts with a person. You have to look at your life and take really stock, a little bit of introspection, pardon me, about where you are right now. And when you need a life coach, and go, wow, youthful aging, we're all getting older. Even if I'm a businessman, I don't care who you are. As we get older, that process of getting older affects whatever it is that you do. And so if someone comes up to me, I usually start with a 10-minute conversation. Let's just talk. You don't have to do anything else. Look me up, send me an email. I'll have a 10-minute introductory conversation. From there, if we decide we're a good fit, I will send the forms and you just fill out the areas that you want to focus on. That's it. And we start there. And as you can see, Steve, even with you and I, we start here and we end up here. That's life. Life intermingles. And that's it in a nutshell.
How often do you run into people that are unhappy and trying to find, let's say, their life purpose? Does that happen a lot? Where they know that what they're doing now doesn't align with what's in them, but they haven't figured out what it is.
That happens a lot. Again, Steve, it lends to your brilliance. And something about you is you almost read me. And I love that. You know the questions to ask me about life coaching. And that is probably one of the most highly sought after reasons that people look for a life coach is to find their life purpose. They go, I'm doing this. I like doing this. I even love doing this. They could even be making a lot of money. And I've had that happen. A lot of money. So it's not necessarily money, too much or too little. It's there is something else. There is something missing. And I'm not sure what my purpose is. I love my family. I want to be there more for my family. I love my family. I want to be there less because if I do this thing over here, I'll by default be there more. So it's really about your life purpose. What is it? Each one of us as an individual, we're called to do something special, an ordinary, extraordinary person, every single one of us. And that is the question I get the most. And it's something that I love to do because I've had to do it in Life University, but I've also studied all these different areas as to how to help my valued clients figure out what is it that comes first. And a lot of it is just organizing. How do we eat an elephant, Steve? I know that saying is around, one bite at a time. So in this elephant, this giant, please, vegetarians, don't call Steve and say Genevieve is saying, but that's not what I mean. It's an adage. But really, in this huge ball of life that we get, and we're trying to find our purpose, I can help you decipher that.
Organization is so key. And you're right, though. Many of us don't do it, even just organizing our life. So at the very least, there's a reason for a life coach, because you get your life in order in terms of organization, you have less stress, more productivity, feel fulfilled, like you're making a difference. We're just about out of time. Your website, what's your website? I'm like double tripping. I'm double checking the clock. And yes, I'm not kidding.
Oh, that's good news.
It just
Time flies when you're having fun. I told you, I love adages.
but it's true. Like you don't well, it's the same thing if you find your life purpose. The day's going to go like that and you're not even going to realize it. Oh, wait a minute, that's over? Wow, I need some more because you're enjoying what you're doing.
Of course, Steve. And I aim to do that in all my sessions with everyone. And so, wow, thank you for having time fly in a fun way, no matter what we're going through.
Oh, love it. And your website, wisdomlifecoaching.com?
It's Wisdom Life Coach, wisdomlifecoach.com.
Gotcha.
And the email is info@wisdomlifecoach.com.
Now, if we go to your website, final question, Genevieve, can we find a link to some of the products that you use? Is that there?
Well, yes, I wanted to revamp things and kind of have it in line with what we're doing, because I am really, my focus is to meet your group of people, so all your valued listeners. So yeah, I'll have a few things. I'll keep adding a few things, like an organic skincare line, like the nutraceuticals that I use, and even more. Certainly referring people to where they can do things like find an infrared sauna, how to do that.
Well,
so
yeah.
Yes, that's coming.
It's funny. I was just going to say, I'll meet you in the sauna. I've never done a podcast. I've never done a radio show in a sauna. I've done one in a hot tub, but not bad. So, put that on the list.
Listen, I have one here in beautiful Vancouver. There's snow on the ground. Let's have a podcast in the sauna.
Fantastic. Always great talking with you. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being on with us.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you.
You too. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.